Okay guys, today we're going to be working on a Yamaha 6. I think it's probably about a 92 or 93 model. We need to replace the water pump in this bad guy. The first step that we're going to need to do is take this 10mm bolt loose. It's the shift cable or the shift lever. And then we're going to come down here on the lower end and take 4 10mm out and separate the lower end. I'll catch up with you once I've got that done. Now that the shift lever is loose, you just loosen the bolt or the nut and you go ahead and spin the bolt off half a turn or so just to ease up that clamp. Now we've came down here and we've gotten all 4 of our bolts loose and out. Our lower unit will now separate off out of the way so that we can get to the water pump. Now that we have the lower unit out, we only have 4 10mm bolts to remove. We'll be able to pull our housing off, check our gaskets, check our water pump. Now that our bolts are out, we're going to go ahead and pull our water pump housing off. Look at it. It looks to be a little bit of wear inside. Our impeller looks okay. Not the best. What we'll do is we'll get a screwdriver and just pop that guy off of there, check our gasket below and the mating surface below and see how that looks. Now that we've gotten our water pump loose, we can see that there's a keyway right there. You got to be really careful not to knock that guy off. Looks like the keyway is going to have to come out to get our lower bracket or our lower gasket loose and off. With the keyway out, now we can get our gasket all the way off. Look over that. It does show signs of wear. I think we are going to go ahead and replace that. Here we have our new water pump kit. It's for 6 to 8 horsepower motors. Looks like it comes with a new water pump, new interior housing, new bolts, new hold down clip, new gasket, new shim, and a new bottom mating surface. Very good. Now it's time to put it all together. We're going to clean everything up a little bit. Now that we got everything cleaned up, we have our bottom plate on. Next, we'll go our water pump and keyway. I use Dawn dishwashing soap as a lubricant. I don't like to use oil or grease because that's going to go back in the water. So I'll get it all put back together and catch up with you in a second. After that's all put back together, you don't have to get crazy with the dish soap. You just have to make sure there's enough that the gasket sits tight and that the impeller doesn't seize to the plate. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to our top housing. Here's the bushing that we need to replace for the shift mechanism where it goes through. No, I guess not. That's the top where the water pump seats to the motor. We're going to get that changed out real quick and I'll catch up with you. Okay guys, we got the new top impeller housing. It needs to go back in and just got to line it back up the same way the old one came out. Fairly simple to do. Just tap it in with your hand and it'll slide right on in. Okay guys, we got the new cup put in and the new top bushing put in. Now it's time to slide it on the water pump shaft. As you go to slide it on, make sure to turn the shaft clockwise so that your impellers point the correct direction. All right, now that the housing's put back on, we're just going to go ahead and bolt her down the same way it was when we took it apart. All right, now she's all bolted back on. The next step's going to be to go ahead and put a little bit of dish soap right on the top of your rod. When you go to slide it in, it's going to help with any friction from initial fire up. Then we got to make sure to get our shift lever back in the correct position so that it lines up through our holes. All right, guys, we got her slid back in. Our shift rod is back into the clamp. Next, we're gonna go ahead and snug the bolts up down on the bottom, and then go back up to the top, snug the bolts up on the clamp, and we've got it finished. All right, bolts are back in, tightened up, everything lined up. This gap here sealed up nice and tight. Our shift lever got sealed up nice and tight. Everything seems to be functioning well with it. No issues. You do have to watch out for this little guy down here. It's where your shift cable comes up to. And when I must have bumped it a little bit, but I kicked it out. No real big deal. I just took a screwdriver and I got it worked right back in there. But to do this project, it is super easy. I would rate it on like a 2 out of a 1 through 10. If you can change a doorknob, you can change a water pump on your outboard engine. No problem. The tools I used today were a 10 millimeter. I have a ratchet wrench, made it a little bit faster, a little bit easier. I used a screwdriver, and then I did use a hammer to get that top cup out. It seemed like it was a little bit more difficult than it should have been to come out, but that could have been years of neglect not being changed every other year like it should be. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Hope to see you back soon.